This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to replace professional medical advice or be a substitute for therapy. Please contact a mental health professional as needed. If you are needing urgent or emergency health care, contact your mental health provider, call 911, or go to your nearest emergency room. The information presented in this podcast also does not reflect the opinions of those with whom we may be affiliated, both past and present.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of I Wish I Had the Balls. And with me today, once again, is Dr. Laura Ellick. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Marc Kantor. You forgot to introduce yourself.
I did.
I wish I had the balls. Marc Kantor.
Marc Kantor. That's me.
With Dr. Laura Ellick. So I'm just like
you know, I got to read the screen.
I know.
Yeah.
We haven't done this for a while.
I could have, with me not knowing, I could have opened up with, Good Morning America. Or,
absolutely. But we're here.
We are.
We took a little break. We took a little hiatus.
We did. I think we kind of.
You were busy. I was very busy. You were not like returning my calls. So even when I was up past 8:30.
Yeah.
You were busy.
Yeah. Well, it's a move. I want to feel important. No, I have been busy, which is great. I love being busy. And I've been traveling, and I think I went to the West Coast 3 times in May. We're close to the West Coast, Salt Lake City, Arizona, Seattle. Seattle's legitimately the West Coast. And then I was supposed to go back to Salt Lake City, but we're still having trouble getting this client to go to treatment. So that is on pause for the moment. And then going to Houston on tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're squeaking this in.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Tomorrow through Friday, and that'll be good. That'll be fun.
And then I was off for a few days because I had surgery. Did I gross you out?
I'm a fainter. And so when I saw that picture, I had to break out the smelling salts for myself.
That is so funny. It's actually it has not been bad.
Yeah.
I have to just say.
Yeah.
My mom is here actually in the studio with us today because she's my handler. Hi, Mom. And
Mom is our adult supervision.
She is adult supervision today. She's going to make sure we don't say anything bad unless she says it first.
Okay. And will she? She might.
Yes, she will. She's got no filter, but she's been really helpful.
We love that.
Yes.
I love that. That is truly one of my favorite qualities in a person, someone who's just so, honest and, what you see is what you get.
What you get. I was talking to someone at the nail salon about that yesterday because my nails were horrific. I had to get them done.
And in fairness, I need a mani-pedi too.
Oh, I did get a pedi too. I got a pedi. I haven't had one in ages. Wait, will you get that done in Houston? Do they have a good place?
I have actually gotten it done in Houston before, but there's a couple of good places here.
You have nice nails, actually.
No, I need to go more regularly.
But you have nice half moons. That's the shape of the nail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I could be a hand model.
Yeah. But anyway, they were saying in the nail salon, there are a lot of New Yorkers who go to this nail salon. Sure. And the woman who was working with me was from Mexico, but she was raised in Florida. And she was saying, that's what I love about you New Yorkers. You have no filter. You tell it how it is. And
you know where you stand.
You know where you stand. There's no guessing.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that kind of fits in with the theme of our podcast, really, because if you're codependent or a people pleaser, you're always worrying about where you stand.
Yeah. Right. And that goes back to the attachment theory that we talked about, because if you feeling like you're going to be thrown out of your community, your prehistoric or ancient self says, if I'm thrown out of my community, I could die. Something bad could happen. I could die. So, let's definitely talk about that. I'm glad that you're doing better after your surgery and you're recuperating and you look good and you look vibrant and you're glowing.
Vibrant. You know what it is? It's several days off from work. Even though I did a little work, it was kind of like on my own time.
Right.
And that
it's a big difference.
It's a big difference. And we've talked about that.
We've talked about this a lot. It's really hard to, even in the best case scenario, be responsible to other people. It's better to do your own thing. But so we're going to have a conversation about these things. And you said you posted the picture and I said, I just fainted. but I have a lot of fainting stories. And one of my fainting stories is that when Julie was pregnant, we went in for a sonogram. And I'm just sitting in the chair and the sonogram, it looks like a weather map. It looks,
there's nothing to it, really.
No, it looks like nothing. I mean, it's not like watching an autopsy. It is
or
not,
actually watching the birth.
Yeah, there's nothing to it. It's just, it looks like a black and white weather map. And the doctor's giving her the sonogram and he's looking over at me and, and he's like, at some point he puts the wand down or whatever it is. And he turns to me, he's like, are you okay?
You must have been looking pretty pale.
And I, just as he's saying that, I just laid my head like that. And, and then they takes out these smelling salts.
Yeah, they post them on the wall. They put them on the wall so that they're there all the time for men just like you. No offense. But
no, of course.
Yeah.
And then Julie says to me, she says, I knew you'd make this about you.
Julie, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I drove myself to the hospital once and then fainted. I mean, I have all kinds of fainting stories.
So, I mean, from a mindset perspective, wrong show, but, you know, from a mindset perspective, what goes in your head that makes you faint? Because it's not just the visual, it's how you interpret it.
I don't know. I think I just start to feel like lightheaded and then...
And then your breathing gets shallow and then you hyperventilate and then you pass out.
I guess. Yeah. I suppose all those things start happening. So, but speaking of breathing and speaking of shallow,
that was a great segue.
Thank you. That we talked about, what are we going to talk about today? And I was riding up in the elevator. We're in a 3-story building and you can walk up and there's that elevator, kind of that hydraulic elevator. And the elevator had that Florida smell, kind of that musty Florida smells. And I think partly because the elevator, it's not completely indoors. It's like
I noticed that too today. It was very steamy in there.
And maybe because it's out, it's not in a conditioned corridor that's why those in medical buildings and buildings like this that has that smell. But the smell is a really powerful, thing, right? It takes you back. You smell, you could be in a store and somebody...
The olfactory memory takes you right back to grandma's house or wherever. Yeah.
Or someone you knew that wore that cologne or perfume and you're back to 1989 in a heartbeat. And that smell brought me back to a time when I had first come down to Florida. The first time, my first Florida venture was I graduated college in 1996 and then I moved home to Long Island. And shortly after that, my parents said, we're going to move to Florida. And I was at a stage in I don't know if I say I was pre-addiction. I was pre off the rails. I mean, I'm still on the rails, but, sliding, not great.
Were you doing real estate at that time? What were you doing?
I was attempting, and it was a time in my life where I was transitioning from college to real life, and I should have been in one of those programs. In hindsight, I should have been like at Jaywalk or Choice House or PACE or one of those programs that help young adult men transition. Because there was a lot going on there. May have saved me a lot of pain in the future, but would have taken me on a different path. But anyway, so I moved down here with my parents because I'm in the stage at this point of getting jobs and quitting jobs or getting jobs and getting fired from jobs. And
are we still in that phase?
It's more methodical now. There's more meaning behind it now. But yeah, no, so I was very good at interviewing for jobs. I liked the hunt, but I didn't actually want the job. And that makes sense because think about what I do today with interventions. I like getting the client, the crisis, getting the client where they need to go. And then I want to move on. And that's why
we've talked about the dopamine rush,
the adrenaline rush. It is a high. And that's why I have Kelly, who then kind of backfills me and then works long-term with the families. And so I came down with them. I came down to Florida with them. And right away I fell into a depression, just feeling like it was a mistake to come down here. It was looking at all my friends that were up north that were on a different course. We're accomplishing more. And don't forget, I went to Nassau Community College for 3 years.
I didn't know that.
I did. Yeah, Turnpike Tech, which was
I haven't heard that for a long time. See, my mom even knows it. She's laughing in the background.
Yeah, I actually was very good.
What did you get? Did you get a degree there?
No, I got enough credits to make up a year of university. So I got to college 3 years late. So already my friends while I'm finishing my first year of college of university at American University in DC, they're graduating, they're getting jobs, and they're just generally speaking better at being consistent than I am. And I think a life is a lot like that. It's not about the big things. It's about doing the little things well every day. And so I'm going through this where I'm comparing myself. I have no passion. I'm just kind of empty. I don't know what to do. And it was just like a really dark and depressing time in my life. And I didn't know what to do. And ultimately I went back to DC, answered an ad in the paper. This is like a couple of days before New Year's 1997 for a commercial real estate job. And I had worked in commercial real estate when I was in high school. I'd worked in the mailroom of a commercial real estate firm. And so I had some idea and got the job, and it went well. I was a cold caller at the time I don't think you can really cold call anymore. I think it's really hard now. That would be really hard to do. And you could walk into buildings and knock on doors, and you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You can't do that anymore. But, I did really well with it.
So wait, this entire thing that you're talking about came from the smell in the elevator?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It took me back. Yeah. It just took me back to that time and remembering how I felt at that time. And I got good at commercial real estate, and then I was a good cold caller. And then I said, well, if I'm going to be in commercial real estate, I should go back to New York, move back to New York. And in between that, I met Julie in traffic during a bomb scare and commuted and all that shit. But it took me
So wait, Julie was the bomb, right?
She was the bomb.
Yeah,
That's right.
That. See, I got that in.
We never would have met if that happened today, because one, we would have been looking at our phones and not been aware of our surroundings on the outside. And two, quite frankly, why bother? Because today's single people are so bombarded with options that, why make the effort? You want a date tonight? Boom, you've got a date. You want 2 dates tonight? Boom, you got 2 dates tonight.
I know, but the options aren't that good.
They're not that good. So I've been told. I mean, I've really never been on any of those dating sites, except for I had a friend that was on Tinder, and he would let me swipe for him, which was like fun. But that's as far as
That gets old. That's how I had to have surgery on my elbow. I think it was swiping too much.
Tennis elbow from swiping.
Yeah, because, there's like nobody there that you actually,
Loser.
Thank you.
Loser. Yeah. I've seen him before,
Exactly. There's always at least 2 or 3 guys who are on every single app.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not that I'm on every single app. I just know this information.
And I feel like it's something that if you're someone like me or someone who's prone to addiction, that's something you could get addicted to, because there is a dopamine. It could be like gambling. So it's a good thing that I met my wife and got married.
In an organic way.
And the other, so I just don't, and I don't know and I was 25, she was 27. I don't know if 25-year-olds today, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Do they have the skills and the game to be making conversation with people without the aid of a phone in their hand?
That's a great question. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very hard for people to connect. And I hear this. Well, first of all, I know it from my own experience. What you see in the dating apps a lot is, this is what they put on their profile. Don't be this, 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 and this. So they're already giving you a shopping list.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you, God forbid, say hi to someone and they don't like that, that sounded too corporate, and I'm at you.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I've heard that. I've heard that on dates, the girl can flick her hair the wrong way. The guy could say the wrong. But you know, and so Julie and I met up that night at because we wound up talking in the cars, and she said, "Do you know this place?" And it was like Tex-Mex place uptown, and I did. It was kind of a well-known place, and we met there and everything. And the date was okay. It wasn't like, you know, amazing. I don't think I went home that night thinking, "Oh my God, I met the girl of my dreams" or whatever. And again, if this were today, there probably wouldn't be a second date, because why bother? You've already eliminated that person. But I remember thinking maybe a couple of days later, yeah, maybe I'll call that girl again. So you stayed at it because you had like 2 or 3 options, right? Or 2 options, right? There's cornflakes and there's Raisin Bran. There's not an entire aisle of cereals to choose from. So you want this one or that one. Well, too late. This one's already taken. Now you have to go with the cornflakes. You know? So there's no urgency. And I think that organic meeting, that organic relationship blossoming just isn't happening today. I mean, it could be. I don't know.
Are you asking me?
No, I mean, is it?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, listen, I have to also say that in all fairness, I do work a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And in all fairness, I've also been told by people that I look intimidating, which I don't think I am
you
at
do.
all.
Yeah,
that
no.
I look like I'm really mean, even though I don't think I do.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, you don't look mean at all. That's
I don't
crazy.
think so either.
No.
But there is a trick that I'm going to try. Because, and you bring up the olfactory memory. So that's why I'm bringing this up, is I just read an article, and we'll have to ask David this, because David happens to know a lot about everything.
Yeah.
That women should wear a perfume that smells like a mix of vanilla and cinnamon, because it reminds guys of baking cookies. And it makes them think that you're warm and homey and a safe place to go.
You know, and there is a lot to be said for our cave people selves. No matter where we are in society today and gender roles and what have you, we are genetically programmed to seek out certain things in a mate.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. So it's disturbing to me that people will say you look intimidating. I don't think I am at all.
I don't think you look intimidating. I think that guys may look at you and they see how educated you are and that you've got your own practice and all. And to them, that's intimidating.
I love it. My mom is nodding. She likes what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I think it's true. I think for the right guy, I think for a guy who's self-actualized or has done the work or is confident in themselves, they'll be attracted to a strong woman.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think that if I had married a girl that was, you know, just so, you know, all hat and no cattle, you know.
Never heard that one. Is that from your time in Texas?
That's actually, yeah, that's actually a George Bush thing.
Was it me?
All hat, all show, no substance, you know, just full of shit. I think for me, that would not have been, I would have been bored really fast. I would get bored really fast. Even, you know, I mean, if you met a woman or a guy that's really, really good looking, but that's it, or their interests are really limited. I mean, how much mileage are you going to get out of it?
Well, that's what I think. I don't like shallow.
Yeah.
You know, I can't talk about cars all the time. I like a wide variety of things.
Yeah.
But maybe people don't. I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's okay, you know. But I think, you know.
Do you?
I do.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you learned something new today.
I did know something.
I've been to three WrestleManias.
Wow.
And 1 or 2 SummerSlams.
Do you SummerSlams? It sounds like a 4th of July orgy. Do you like monster trucks?
No.
Mom does. Mom likes.
Mom is dying to be on camera, even though she said she didn't want to be on camera.
Oh, yeah, no, those are fun.
We'll have to take her.
Your mom looks like the perfect mom for like a TV mom.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can just see her in some.
She looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
Okay. She's tough, but that's why I'm tough.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what I love about the two of you, and I don't know Mom that well yet, but you're sitting here being completely comfortable having a conversation and Mom's in the room. I don't know if my parents were in the room if I would feel as comfortable. And I'd like to think I would, but I don't. I'd probably feel like I would start to alter myself to say things that I think that they want to hear, or I would get up in my head about that.
Yeah, I think in certain topics,
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
because, and we were talking about this before the show started, just the whole concept of let's say, people pleasing, and who do you people please, or not asking for help, which is always my thing. I have a really hard time asking for help. So,
Yeah.
so I feel a lot of the time like I have to give 20 times more than I ask from people. So I'm always calculating that in my head.
Are you an over tipper?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I will over everything
Yeah.
because I don't want to be indebted to someone. And
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that that came from where I grew up, but I picked it up somewhere, probably in my friend group.
Yeah.
The idea that things were a little bit transactional.
Yeah. But this is not necessarily bad qualities either, because, there's not a lot of people that are super generous that
No, there aren't,
insist,
especially with tipping,
let me
which
get
I
the
think is a
check,
big thing.
Yeah. What can I do for you? How can I be of service to you?
And you're good at that, by the way. And so I hope I express enough appreciation
You do.
to you.
You do. And you definitely, you're someone who grabs the bill and I appreciate that. And I think being a generous person, but going back to the meeting people, there were things that growing up in the 80s, that 70s and 80s, that as young men we did that are not, the kids aren't doing today. The hoops we jumped through to get our hands on a stupid Playboy magazine, which was completely benign compared to what's out there today. To get a stupid magazine that probably been passed around the block, hidden in
tons
the
of
woods,
fingerprints on it.
Fingerprints, it's like been shellacked over. It's encased, and we would do that. And today, boys just hit a button. But I think having that, I got to go out and hunt this.
I kind of like that. I like the idea that someone is going to go out and hunt.
Well, I think it builds an important skill, as funny as that might sound. And I've used this example with parents a lot. If I wanted to call a girl and ask her out, I'd have to call her house on the phone that was connected to the kitchen, and her mom would answer, and I'd have to talk to her mom, and then ask to talk to her, and then and then I'd have to go pick her up, and they would be that level of communication, and also that level of, well, you're not going to get a date if you don't get over that fear, so you got to go do it. And today, boys are hiding behind, or able to hide behind the phone. I doubt there are a lot of young men that are picking up the phone and calling girls and asking them for a date.
No. Do you know how it works? I learned this from my daughter.
Text? I don't know.
So you see someone that you like, and you hope beyond hope that they ask for your snap. So your Snapchat. So if they ask for your snap, that's a sign that they might like you. So that's the first stage.
So you have to manifest it.
Yes. You have to somehow connect with them enough, look at them enough in class, have a conversation with them somewhere where they ask for your snap. Then there's a whole language about Snapchat, what everything means. So then you have to hope that they snap you first. You don't want to be the one to snap first.
That shows weakness?
Well, I mean, you don't want to be a stage 5 clinger. Right? So you have to wait for him to snap you first. Then you have to keep track of the number of snaps he's doing with other people, because your snap score goes up every time you snap somebody, but you know whether he's snapping you or snapping other people. And then there's the obsession. His snap score is going up, but I haven't gotten a snap from him. Who else is he talking to? So it's an entire different level of anxiety versus when we were growing up. Oh my God, it's a busy signal. I hope he's not talking to Mary across the street.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting. Kind of all translates.
It does.
Right? We somehow develop rules.
Yeah. But it's also a breakdown of society, is it not?
For sure.
I mean, look at there's two generations sitting here in this room right now. There's no more soda shop anymore, right? There's no more. There's no physical gathering place where people connect, and connection is part of the problem. And then, you could take it to another level where this whole thing I was talking about, Dr. Grant, who works with young people in a technology addiction. But him and I talked about that you can't even tell kids to get into coding because all that stuff is going to be replaced by AI.
Mm-hmm. That's scary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about it like, okay, where are the places that we used to meet? Okay. Walking up to 7-Eleven was a huge event.
Right.
Because everybody hung out at 7-Eleven because it had the best candy. Walking up to the drugstore where the video games were. Mm-hmm. Coincidentally, the video games were always located next to the Playboy magazines.
Makes sense.
So, I'm not quite sure the connection because there were a lot of kids there and the pedophiles looking at the magazines. Uh-huh. So, I guess it was like easy prey there. I don't know. But
how good for the pedophiles.
Yes. So that's where we used to make our connections because you would see the same people showing up. Yeah. The local pool. Yeah. Well, everybody has a pool in their backyard. There is no local pool, really.
Right. Well, even in college, when I was in college, like if I wanted to go see if somebody was around, usually a girl, of course, I'd put on my backpack or whatever and like take the long way to the library
on your bike?
No.
Oh, because we used to bike everywhere. Yeah, right. This was college. Yeah.
And then you'd have to troll for that person, and it took some cunning and everything. But all of that's gone. I can't imagine how dumb my grandkids are going to be with all this stuff. Like they're not, because of ChatGPT, they're not going to have to really write. They're not going to. There'll be they won't have verbal skills. I hope this isn't the case.
So having said all of that, we talk a lot on this podcast about codependency, people pleasing, perfectionism, communication issues. Yes. Do you think in the future it's going to get better or worse in certain areas? Like, for example, if people are texting, I think sometimes texting is more direct. I think because you never know how it's going to be interpreted. So is that going to lead to people being less people pleasing or less mindful of what they're texting? Or because, listen, you don't want to get tendonitis like I did from too much of all of this stuff. So meet me at 8.
Does happen.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I think it's going to get worse, and I think it's going to contribute to people's anxiety and social phobias because, again, everything in life is a learned or a practiced skill, right? Mm-hmm. If I don't go to the gym, right, the weights are heavy as hell. Mm-hmm. But if I go regularly, it's easier to go. Mm-hmm. The more, and I used to say this with AA meetings, the more I go, the more I need it, the less I go, the less I need it. It just gets harder and harder. So I think like things like picking up the phone and calling people or socializing with people in person is a muscle. And if you don't use that muscle atrophies. So
here's a secret.
Yeah.
I've always had a phone phobia.
Yeah.
So texting to me is a godsend.
Sure, because it's like it's easy.
Right. Picking up the phone to even call a doctor for a doctor appointment.
Yeah.
Terrify me.
Yeah.
I'm over it for the most part. Like, unless it's a really difficult call or a stranger, I can make phone calls and it's fine. Otherwise, I'm in my head.
Yeah.
What do they think? Am I stumbling over my words? Do I sound like an idiot? Do they understand my name?
Sometimes when I have a call like that, I'll write down the points I need to make. Mm-hmm. So I don't miss them because you get on in your head, you're like Perry Mason, you're eloquent, but you get on the phone with the person and you've got nothing. You can't even remember your name. I like texting because it avoids having to get drawn into a conversation. And I don't have a lot of patience. But it doesn't build the same relationship either.
It doesn't. And that's what I think the one thing that I don't like about texting is you could be having what you think is a conversation with someone. You send them a text and then you don't hear back from them for like 2 days. They think the conversation is over.
Right.
And you're like, well, I don't want to be a double texter because you can't be a double texter. That doesn't look good. So do you follow up?
A lot of saving face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
The snap, you don't want to.
Yeah. A lot of like, how are people going to interpret?
Yeah. What? Yeah. No, I think I agree. I like texting because I can just keep moving along. I like to move along. And I mean, doing things like calling the insurance company or the phone. Yeah. And I'm trying to get better at administrative tasks. I'm really, really bad. And I, had to file an annual report for the state this last week, which is actually, they just want money. There's really no annual report. They just pay us. I had to close out an LLC that I had in Delaware and they just want money. Just pay us. But there's forms and crap like that. And so I'm trying to get better at those things. I'm really alert. I have a habit of going, our mail where we live goes to a central location. And like a little mailbox area near the clubhouse. And I go and I sort through it. And if there's nothing of interest to me, I put it all back in the mailbox and I leave it there.
Who do you think is going to handle it?
Julie.
Does Julie know?
Yeah. So I'm usually looking for my magazine. I'm looking for the New Yorker or if
the Playboy?
I know. I mean, not even that. Just New Yorker or the Atlantic, Vanity Fair. Is a real estate magazine I get. But I do. I have this fear, this real fear of the mail. I hate it.
Because bad news comes in the mail. I never check. If something comes in the mail on Friday, I don't open it.
Yeah.
I don't
you don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And you're highbrow, by the way. What? The Atlantic, Vanity Fair. I'm waiting for People magazine.
I like that too, but that's what TikTok does for me. I get that news on TikTok.
I know. I love it when you send me the TikTok video.
Yeah. I mean, that, and I get it. So
that's a form of communication too, by the way.
What's that?
When there's this whole thing. I wonder if someone's doing research. Someone has to be doing research on this.
Yeah.
Sharing memes. That's like a whole communication right there, sharing TikToks, because there's a story behind each TikTok you share. Like someone's going to like this, or we talked about this today, or this is relevant to them.
Absolutely. So if I'm sending you a TikTok, it's because I'm thinking about you.
Right.
I saw something. I thought it's like a gift. I saw something I think Laura's really going to like. So I'm going to send it to her. But there are people out there, I'm not going to mention names, but there are people out there that don't open the TikToks. I don't have TikTok. I don't, and it's like they're refuting my gifts. It's my,
it's rejecting
one of
your
my,
gift.
It's my love language.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm giving you these gifts.
I send my mom TikToks all the time.
Does she open them?
I didn't know that you could tell if someone opened them or not.
Well, they would respond and say, "Yeah, that's really funny."
Oh no, she never responds.
No, okay, so probably not.
Well, let's ask her. Do you watch my TikToks? Yes, yeah. There are these two Irish tap dancers that are amazing on TikTok. Yeah.
Wow.
But they dance to contemporary music, and they just moved from wherever they were to Nashville, and so they did a really cool version of Dolly Parton's 9 to 5.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was really amazing.
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah, the Gardner brothers.
I love a good show tune. This being I was.
Do you like Barbara Streisand too?
Of course.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I besides being a what I called this morning a hetero cis white male because I have a colleague who's gay and I texted her with a lesbian joke. And she said, like, you're really good with the lesbian jokes for a hetero.
I know, but you can do that with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but also, like, you're atypical. You're an atypical hetero guy because you like show tunes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You dress well.
Yeah.
Right. And
I'm going for a mani-pedi at some point.
Going for mani-pedi.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, if I didn't know you, I'd be like, We got to think about that.
Well, and I do take that as a compliment if somebody would think I'm gay, because I mean, those gay men really, I mean, some, not all of them, but especially the ones like in New York and Miami. Yeah, they're really good. They look young. They're in good shape. They're really, so yeah, I mean, you want to emulate that. But I think the TikToks, they are like a gift, and I will send it, or sometimes I'll send Julie like a song that I know she wrote, like an 80s song, a Tears
for Fears.
Yeah, I'm sending like that is a modern version of me sending you a mixtape or a message.
Yes.
So I don't like when it's not
reciprocated.
Yeah. I like a good pen pal. Some people are good pen pals. You're a good pen pal. You're quick on the trigger.
That's because I'm on my phone too damn much.
Yeah, me too. I've actually been in situations where after an intervention and I get on a plane and I'm flying home from Utah or Denver, and Delta has the streaming and it's really good. I mean, you can video call someone. I have done it. I know you're not supposed to, but I have done it. While you're flying, and I'll just be I'll be like, this is a guilty pleasure. And I'm just like scrolling through TikToks. Next thing I know, we're on the runway.
Isn't that great? Because every video is like 3 or 4 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
And the time just passes.
It passes. And it is great, but it's also that feeling I just spent 3 hours scrolling TikTok and killing brain cells. And I should have read a book.
TikTok gets a bad rap, but like, how is it any different from watching cartoons?
Well,
right?
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah. Well, and TikTok has some very educational stuff. You get what you want. I mean, I get a lot of history, news.
Aviation, probably.
A lot of aviation, car stuff. I do like comedians.
I like comedians too.
And for some reason lately, and I think it knows what you're thinking when it listens to you. And I've been getting a lot of Gilbert Gottfried lately. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He died.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah. So I've been getting this stream of Gilbert Gottfried and he's really funny. And he told this joke, which is really bad, but I think really worth telling. So he says, this couple got into a car accident. The woman is badly hurt. The man, luckily, is completely unscathed. And they get taken to the hospital. And after a couple of hours, the doctor comes out. Man says to the doctor, how's my wife? What happened? And he says, it's really bad. You know, she's paralyzed from the neck down. She's going to be in a wheelchair the rest of her life. You're going to have to bathe her. You're going to have to put ointment on her so she doesn't get bed sores. You're going to have to clean up after her. The rest of your life is going to be committed to taking care of this woman. And the man starts to cry and the doctor says, I'm just fucking with you. She's dead.
Oh my God.
I know. I just thought it was so funny.
But that is my worst nightmare. Like I wouldn't want to, I would take care of someone.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one that someone has to take care of. So even with the surgery and all of that, I pushed myself. I'm like, okay, if I don't feel a lot of pain, right, it's okay. But because of that scenario, really funny.
Would be horrific. It was funny, but it would be horrific. And I think it would be worse being the one that has to take care of them. And, you know, to get back, I don't want to be serious, but there's, being a caretaker is really, really hard. Anyone really you've ever met that's had someone, it's like, people, we do what we have to do in life. You know, you do it, or I see people with a disabled child or something. I see that. I see a kid in a wheelchair and I just, right there, I go into prayer. I just say, just thank God and, bless them.
Yeah.
Because that is something that is a huge responsibility.
Children,
it's horrible. So thank God for your health. Someone said recently, and it's so true. They said, when you're healthy, you have many problems. When you're sick, you only have one problem. So yeah, it's so true.
It's so hard in the moment, though, when you're feeling the weight of problems to think about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, most problems are bullshit, right? I mean, so somebody said recently, probably on TikTok, who the hell knows? But if it's not going to be a problem in 5 years, it's not a problem now.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. If we look at a lot of the BS that we obsess about, even a month from now, 2 months from now, a lot of it we won't even remember.
Won't remember. Tomorrow.
And that's actually a lot of the stuff when I'm worried about people pleasing or how I present myself to someone, I'll often think, you know what, are they even going to remember that I flubbed these words?
No, because they're thinking about themselves.
They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So moral of the story is everybody think about yourself only.
That's right. And now the rest of us don't have to worry about it.
Then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we become obsessed with that. Everybody's too busy thinking about themselves. Yeah, that's it. Where are we on time?
We are coming to the end of another episode of I Wish I Had the Balls.
There are a lot of good people I want to get on the show that I come across in my daily life that just do amazing things. I have gotten so much good feedback about Dr. Katie Edwards, who the Purple Therapist, about attachment theory and attachment styles. And there are just a lot of good people that do different things out there that are relevant. We got to get this.
I think it would also be great, though, to hear from people who are following the show what topics they want to hear about and any people who they want to see on the show. I think, if they have people who would be a great addition to the show, great topics, great, people that we can talk to, I'd love to hear that too. So give your contact info.
Well, before, who I'd love to get on the show?
Who?
Whitney Cummings. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Comedian.
Yeah.
Because she talks a lot about recovering from codependency.
So let's reach out to her.
Yeah. And I don't know if she'd be harder to get or easier to get than Nikki Glaser, but
Nikki Glaser is good too.
Yeah.
Well,
but
we can just say
Cummings.
If they had the balls, they'd be on the show.
They would be on the show. So where to reach me?
Yeah.
I'm so reachable. I have the phone duct taped to my head at all times. So anyone can reach me at 202-390-2273. And I'm easy to find on the internet.
Absolutely, you are. Yeah. And I am at 516-635-6186. And what's your specialty? For people, this is the first time maybe they're tuning in.
So my specialty is telling dirty jokes. I want this on my gravestone. Quality entertainment at moderate prices. And the other thing I want on my grave, he died thin.
And let's hope that's the truth, right?
Specialty is working with families that are in crisis because of a mental health or addiction, and they don't know how to get out of it, and they don't know the first thing to do, and they're just going to start throwing money at the problem, which isn't going to work. And I'm like a project manager or a tour guide for families that are struggling with mental health.
I like that, a tour guide. Yeah. I like that.
What about you? What is your specialty?
So, I'm a generalist as a psychologist, but I have specialties in eating disorders and addiction. I work with a lot of couples, chronic illness. But, just reach out because, if we can't help someone, we usually know someone who can.
Totally. And I say that all the time. If I'm not the right guy, I'll get them to the right guy.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, so do you want to do the closing? Tune in for another episode?
Yeah. I love that I have you coaching me on this because I would totally forget how to do all those things. So join us next time on another episode of I Wish I Had the Balls.
With Marc Kantor and Dr. Laura Ellick.
Goodbye for now.
Peace out.